helping us create not only the world's best kitchen appliance, but unforgettable experiences really worth sharing. How? By bringing people with the same passion together, not only digitally, but where real life happens, in their homes, regardless of where they come from, what drives them, how great their ambitions are. Everyone deserves a life that makes them happier. Delightful moments. The best Thermomix we've ever made. Of course it can weigh, chop, grind, grate, steam, whisk, mix and boil. But for the first time ever, new cooking modes add more thought to your cuisine, giving you more wows and yummy mummies. More tenderness made effortless. More homemade yogurt and cheese. More pulled pork at the next garden party. More taste highlights by adding roasting aromas. And caramel creations prepared in a jiffy. The new Thermomix is cleaner, powerful, and it's quieter. With a way larger display, a highly intuitive user interface, and recipe recommendations, making the best homemade meals easy peasy. Built-in Wi-Fi and Cookie-Doo provide daily inspiration, with over 40,000 guided cooking recipes created and shared all over the world, regardless of which device you use. And the best part? It gets better and better all by itself. Smart at heart. Just like you. TM6, the all-new Thermomix. By Forvac.
Good evening, everybody. Hello, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michelle, and together with my colleagues Jenny and Mandy, we are presenting to you this evening what we call our Easy Essentials class. Now, we at Thermomix have a strong belief that there should be a Thermomix or two at the heart, or three, at every kitchen, in the heart of every kitchen. So we are going to show you, most of you on here tonight already share that belief because you do either have a Thermomix in your kitchen or are waiting for one to arrive. So we're really excited to share lots of hints and tips with you tonight. What we'd also encourage you to do is when we have these things, jump on every time because you're going to pick up a tip every time, and invite a couple of friends, because the funny thing about Thermomix is that the people who haven't seen it yet really want to know what all the fuss is about. And some of them might be cynics and some of them might be really interested, but coming from a cynic myself, I went along and was blown away. So I was really grateful to my friend for inviting me that day for what I thought was a free lunch. And now here I am 9 years later, almost to the day actually, of this amazing Thermomix business. So not only that day did I decide I wanted Thermomix on my bench, I actually decided that I was like, how do I do what you're doing? So you never know where the start of this journey will take you. Be open to all things and be open to new things, because if you're even half thinking about what it might be like to be on this side of the camera, hang around and have a chat with us, or reach out to your consultant and ask her to get you along to an information session. It's a 30-minute session with a bit of info, and yeah, it's lots of fun. So that's the purpose of our class tonight. What we'd encourage you to do is, it's very informal, but if you want to sing out a question, please do. But otherwise, we've got a chat box. We'll be manning the chat. We'll post the links to the recipes in the chat box as well. And we'll answer lots of questions along the way. Now, I mentioned about hosting as well. So if you would like to get a more personalised cooking experience to your family's needs, grab a couple of friends and let's cook together. It's so nice that we've just started going into people's homes again, and it's so lovely to do that. And I know that the customers have had us in so far, and us going into it, we're like, oh, it's so nice to be around a bench with people and eating food with them. So please reach out to your consultant, because I know that she'd love to do that with you as well. All right, everyone knows I can talk way too much, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to send you straight over to the amazing Jenny, who is going to present our first dish for this evening, but I will be with you throughout the night. We'll see you soon. Over to you, Jenny.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much. It was a great introduction as always, and happy anniversary for you to come to. Right, so I'm going to kick off this session tonight with one of, I must say, that was also my very first dish that I made in the Thermomix TM6, and because it's very simple, but I was so curious about the high heat function of it. And we're going to do some sauteed onions together. So as you probably know, if you had a Thermomix before, that there's a limit of the temperature setting that you can choose. And it's the same still with the TM6, but we do have a high heat function, which is built into a recipe. Just for reference, the Roma temperature is roughly 122 degrees and high heat goes up to 160. Which allows us not only to saute brown onion, brown meat, brown vegetables in there, but also doing other high heat work with your Thermomix, for example, sugar work or honeycomb, making lollies and the like. So if you would be interested in that, just search high heat or high temperature in cookie dough, put that into your search bar and you will get all the results in there. So I've put my sauteed onions into my weekly meal plan because I love cookie dough, and I hope you do, and if you don't do it yet, you will, I promise. And so now I just pick up this recipe, and all I need to do is click on start cooking, and we are going to kick that one off with 20 grams of oil, and I weigh that straight into the bowl because the scales do come up automatically. And as I said, 160 degrees, so olive oil is completely fine, it won't burn. That only has a high smoke point at between 180 and 200, so that's fine. We need to click on next, and now we're going to weigh in the onions. So today I have chosen different colors, so brown onions and red onions, and what we want to do is it says to cut them into wedges, so you want to cut them into pieces like this, and we're going to weigh that in. It says 200 to 300 grams, and what the machine will do is, so next step, it wants us to add the lid on top of it. And instead of the measuring cup, which always sits per default in there, usually it asks us to put on the splash guard. So if you're a TM6 user, you will have one of those. If you have a previous model, you think, what's that? I don't have that. That's right. So the splash guard is in conjunction with the high heat function of the TM6. So we put that on top of the lid, just in alignment with the handle. And what's going to happen is once the blades start turning, the arms will lock the lid into the bowl, and it'll also grab that splash guard and keep it in a secure place. So I now tell the machine that I've done that. And I don't know if you can see my screen, but we have a change in the settings here. So it automatically set the timer to 10 minutes. Temperature, I can't select it. It automatically goes to maximum. And I don't have the speed dial from 1 to 10. I only have the high heat function, which I can only turn on or off. So that's basically the setting. All I do, turn the dial, and now we can hear the blades. They're shuffling the onions around. So first of all, what it does is the Thermix detects whether I've put in there a whole onion or if I followed the recipe and have cut it into wedges. So now it says, okay, that's fine, you've done the right thing. And because we only have a very small circumference or small surface for the high heat for the plate, what the blades do is they make sure that the onions that are on top, they're going to be shoveled around and they're going to come to the bottom, and the ones on the top will go the other way around. Just make sure that everything will be evenly sauteed. All right, so this is going to take about 10 minutes, and I think in that time we're going to switch over to Mandy's kitchen. Have I introduced myself? That's all right. I'll do that later. Mandy, here we go.
Thanks, Jenny. Over to you, Mandy.
Thank you. So I should just qualify that both of those two are the chatty ones. I'm the more to the point one. But it's all good fun. We're all good friends, so that's good. So welcome to my kitchen. My name is Mandy. I'm in Hughesdale, which is opposite Chadstone Shopping Centre. I can see it from here. So tonight, as they've explained to you what we're doing, we're basically showing you some of the real basics that you can do in your Thermomix. And what I'm going to do is whipped cream. And I'd love to know if you can put in the chat if you've ever over whipped cream and thrown it out. So I'll just get Michelle to look out for that, if anybody puts anything in there, because what I'm going to start off doing is whipping the cream, and I'm going to show you what happens when you go too far. All right, so starting off here, when you are whipping, so basically we're going to end up, thanks Cherie, we're going to end up with butter, but what you do need is pure cream. Okay, and the closer it is to its use by date, the better. So this is the 5th of February. That was the closest I could find in my supermarket. But one of the great things with this, if you're going to make butter, is to look for the cheap cream, you know, the cream that's on sale, because it's close to its use by, because that's the perfect thing to do, is then use it for butter. But we're going to whip it first. And so basically what I was saying before is that, you know, if you over whip, keep whipping and you're going to make butter. Never throw it out. All right, so I'm going to pop the cream in. Oops, hang on. Before I do that, probably should put my butterfly in. So your butterfly literally goes, now I've got a bit of cream in the bottom here, I don't want to tip over my laptop. Literally goes over your blades, and then you just give it a little tiny twist, and then it doesn't come off. Also with the butterfly, really important to remember, you never go faster than speed 4 with the butterfly in there. If you think of that butterfly, it's got 4 corners, that's maximum speed. All right, popping my cream in. And then this is one of the times where it's best not to leave your Thermomix, all right? Another one is when you're kneading in your Thermomix. But if you're whipping cream, it's a good idea to stay close by and just keep an eye on it. You'll hear the noise of the cream change as it thickens. And I'm just going to pop it on now and start. I'm not going to set a time because I'll just keep an eye on that. But I'm going to turn it up to speed 4.
But like you said, Mandy, the fresher the cream, the longer it will take, won't it? So sometimes people will buy really fresh cream that's got a couple of weeks use by date, and it might take up to 10 minutes to turn it to butter or to whip it. I'm not sure if Mandy can quite hear us.
Yeah,
there.
no, I can hear, but I'm not sure if you can hear me.
No, we can.
Okay, all right. So I can hear already that cream is starting to change. The noise is starting to change. So I'm just going to very sneakily pick through the top, and I will stop it partway through the whipping. Got to be careful that you don't get cream in your eye when you do this, though.
Lucky you've got glasses.
Oh, my goodness. So what are we, 44 seconds? Good job I stopped it then to show you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's, yes, so that's your whipped cream, and it was reasonably close to the use by date, but as Michelle said, it will take a lot longer if it's fresher than that. So I'm going to keep whipping here because I want to turn it into butter. So I'm just going to put it back on 4.
And now there's a thing that we talk about in Thermomix, which is cook with your ears. So you're really listening to that now, aren't you, Mandy? Yeah.
And what you'll hear as it whips more, you'll hear it's going to separate into the solids and the buttermilk and it will get wetter. You'll get a wetter sound as that happens.
Sort of makes a splashing noise almost, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Oh, that's great, but I can't see anyone now.
Just went to the fridge. I've got some really icy water here. I'm just going to have a little look at it now.
Yeah. Oh, you do.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't have a TM6 or a TM5, there is a little bit of delay as the lid opens up. Now it's starting to go. There's a bit of water there. I'm just going to give it a little bit longer though.
FaceTime. Do I go to FaceTime? Oh, useless.
There's a question in the chat if you could make butter also with lactose-free milk. Maddie, have you tried that?
Lactose-free cream? Do you mean? Ah, there you go. Denise, thank you very much, Denise.
Oh, is that perfect? Thanks.
All right, so if we have a look now, can you see there's quite a lot of water in there? Well, it's buttermilk, it's not water at all. I'm just going to grab a bowl. Sorry, I had a jug ready to pour it into, but I realised I'm probably going to need the bowl. And what I'm going to do is actually pull out the butterfly. Got that out. And I'm going to put in my simmering basket. And what I'm going to do is drain the buttermilk out through the simmering basket. So I think you'll find in the recipe it tells you to put your butter to drain it through here. But if you do this, it stops you from having to, you see the buttermilk coming out? It means you don't have to, put stuff out and put it in again. So you're just working with the same, in the same bowl. And what I'm going to do after that is just use my spatula. I'm just going to push on it. Just need to put it on the bench. And then you'll actually get more liquid coming out just by pushing on it. So I should be able to just hold that back. All right. Okay, next stage. I realize I'm not even using the recipe. just have it done this a few times before. You need to wash the butter. And that's what I went to the fridge to get. So I've got icy water in here. It does have ice blocks in there. Doesn't matter if the ice blocks go in because you're going to strain it all out anyway. All right. So I'm going to just pour. I'm going to cover the my butter in here. Sorry, show you what it looks like. There it is so far. I'm just going to pour some cold icy water in there. Okay. And just going to wash it around a bit more. Now you don't need to put the butterfly back in. So I'm just going to put it in there for a little bit. Okay. Now what you can do with this, so the buttermilk is fantastic for so many recipes. Again, Cookie Doo is the most amazing search, has the most amazing search functions. So if you put buttermilk in the search bar of Cookie Doo, it will come up with a whole heap of recipes that you can use your buttermilk in, so don't throw it away. But the second lot of buttermilk is not as strong as the first buttermilk. So I'm going to put that in another bowl just to keep them separate. So you can use buttermilk in, smoothies. It's got protein in it, so it's a really useful thing. And you'll probably see, I will put this in again just to strain. You'll see how much clearer this is. It's a totally different quality of buttermilk coming out here. The first lot was far more buttery. I'm going to use my spatula again. Just push this out. And of course, the other thing to do is also, again, using that search bar on Cookie Doo, have a look for all the different butters that you can make. You can make cinnamon butters, you can make garlic butters, obviously. There's all sorts of incredible butters you can make to go on steaks. There's, honestly, the combinations seem to be endless on there, and, you can make up your own. So I'm just going to pour out this last little bit here. There we go. Now, so I've got 2 lots of buttermilk. One I'm going to use in a bread dough in just a minute. The other one I'm going to put aside for the moment. And here is my butter. Now, in the mix shop, they have a thing called the butter bell. Chicken skin butter. Ooh, goodness. What I can do is store my butter in the butter bell just by putting it in here. If you want, so this is obviously unsalted butter, which I really like for baking, but if you want to salt it, you can put your, add salt in. If you want it to be more spreadable as well, although the Buttermilk does help with that, you put this in here, you put some cold water in there, and you just store your butter in here. That keeps it nice and fresh, okay? But if you want to, if you think you want something a little bit more spreadable, then add a little bit of olive oil. Okay, just get that, the rest of it out of there. So it's quite a lot of butter. If you've got, as well as, you know, looking for cream that's going, you know, as close to its use by, if you've got cream in the fridge that you need to use up, this is another great thing to make, because you can freeze your butter. You can make it into little round, you know, logs, so you can chop it up and you can just store it in your freezer.
You can also flavor your butter, just make it a herb and garlic butter, or try a cinnamon sugar butter on your pancakes. And oh my God, I'm giving you ideas here.
All right, so that's that. And now we're going to move on to buttermilk bread. Okay, so I'm going to go, like Janie, I love my week. I always have lots of recipes in here. Love planning my week. So here I've got the buttermilk bread, and that's what we're going to start making now. So I've got to put 180 grams of my buttermilk, which is here. I'm using the first lot of the buttermilk.
And now you understand when it says on the package, in the buttermilk package, it's 99% fat-free. Now you know why.
Okay. 200 grams of water. I've just about used every jug, I think, in my my kitchen.
In your household. Show us what you got.
Oh, I have actually got the best jug. I'm not going to show it to you now. I'll show it to you another day. 200 grams of water. Oh, look at that. She's done it before. Okay. 2 teaspoons of dried instant yeast. This was given to me by a customer of one of my team who bought way too much of it, and that's what I'm using. But you can get, I've forgotten what the common brand is in the supermarket, but there is a great one in the supermarket. Yeah, and if you
forget.
And what you can do is you store it in the freezer, so it doesn't die or anything. I've got 2 teaspoons of yeast. In there. And also note, I didn't wash my bowl.
No, there's no need for that.
No, absolutely.
That's everyone's favourite instruction. Do not wash bowl.
It is, absolutely. All right, so this is going to heat up for 3 minutes. It's going to go to 37 degrees just to activate that yeast. And I think we'll pop over to you, Michelle, whilst that's happening, for a little bit of cookie dough.
That is correct. Coming back to me. Hello.
Yeah, the spotlight.
Got it. I got it. All right. I am going to share my screen and bring everyone over to cookie dough. Put your hands up in user reactions if you do not have cookie dough, because I'm going to work on the theory that most of you have got cookie dough. All right, can everyone see my cookie dough screen there?
Yes, we can.
Lovely. I can't see the chat now, so if there's anything in the chat, is there anyone who doesn't have cookie dough? Doesn't sound like it. Awesome.
Sounds like it, yeah.
For those who might be new to cookie dough is like our Netflix for recipes. So in just the last few years, 30-odd thousand recipes have been added to this platform. So anything you want to cook is on here. But with our new Cookie Dough 3.0, if you want to add your own recipes, you can now do that too. So you can either import them from our recipe community. In fact, I came across this folder that I'd saved the printouts of my favourite recipes from that platform, and then all of a sudden went, oh, I don't need that anymore. I can just import them all in. So the raw Snickers slice has now is going to be coming into my platform very soon. So as you can see here, the beauty of this is it looks the same on my laptop as it does on my TM6, as it does on your app. So it makes it very easy to learn how to use it because you're not learning different formats for different devices. So as you can see here, this says search cookie dough. The beauty of this is you can search by genre or you can search by ingredient. So for example, if I type in chicken, for example, I'm going to come up with all these different recipes. So a whole chicken, chicken curry, chicken lasagna, chicken soup, chicken burger. So I've got all these different options to which you can then go through. Oh, check these out. I stumbled across these the other day, chicken and sweet corn pizza muffins, just anyone looking for lunchbox ideas. So as you're scrolling through and you see something that takes your fancy, these three little dots here, the universal symbol for more, mean I can go in there and go, oh, actually, do you know what? I'm going to add that to a collection. And I'm going to scroll down because I'm pretty sure I've got one called lunchboxes or something along those lines already. Look at all my different collections. I've got so many things here. Lunchbox.
Amazing number.
I know, and I use it a lot for examples, and then I need to actually do some filing, girls. So other thing I can do there is go, I know I want to make that, so I want to add that to my shopping list, and I want to add it to my week. So I can go, and actually I'll tell you a little secret, it's actually already in my week. So I'm going to pop it in there. Now, the other cool thing you can do when you're searching like this, you'll see here that I've got lots of different filters. So you can go into your personal profile and add in all those filters. So when Cookie Dough first came out, if you wanted to add in different countries, you had to do it each time you searched. Now you can actually put your favorites in and save those favorites, so you don't need to add them in each time. But up here, see where it says recipes, you can also click on that and search collections. So if you want to search whole cookbooks, so if you were looking for sort of gluten-free or baby food or something that was, you know, lunchbox ideas, something more specific. So if I know that my family like chicken and I want to do a lot of chicken dishes, I can have a look at collections and have a look at all these different collections that are just focused on chicken. And if I go into one of those and go, oh, here we go, that one looks interesting. Actually, I've already saved it, but had I not saved it, it would say save in the corner there, and I can just press save and that'll add it straight to my collection. Oh, that's got the family chicken galette. If you haven't made that, give it a go. So from here, I can go over into my week. Now I can show you a lot more, but I've only got 3 minutes. So, and you can see here, this view. Now, normally when you jump in here, it'll be in this list view, which will show you what you've had from today forward, but you can also go into this calendar view if you want to sort of view what's coming up in the week. Now, if you get to a day and you go, do you know what, I'm actually not going to have a chance to make those tomorrow, you can go in and move to another day and say, do you know what, I'll do that on the weekend. That's when I'll have time to do that. So you can edit things in here or remove them completely. Then we can go over to here and have a look at everything on our shopping list. So all of those things have been added to my shopping list, and you can either look at your shopping list by recipe or by category. So that makes it really simple to take it to the supermarket. Or so if you're taking your phone to the supermarket and you're ticking things off as you pop them in your trolley, you can add other items. So of course, you're not just limited to what's in your Cookie Dough repertoire. It could be cleaning products,
red wine,
dog food, lots of alcohol for Jenny, whatever you might need. So, or you can add all those extra ingredients down there. Now, the cool, exciting thing that got introduced last year is this big green button here that says order ingredients. And by selecting that, it actually will take me into Woolworths, where I can complete my order. I can edit the cart, I can swap out brands, change quantities, do whatever I need, add in extra things. And then once I'm happy with that, and this was what you were talking about before, Mandy, the low and yeast, which you can
absolutely
sachets or So if you go, you know, there's the bread. If you don't want that brand, you can press swap, and it'll show you what other options you've got. So you can go, oh yeah, I want to get this one here. I want to get Wallaby. That's the one that I like. And then once you're ready, and it's all in the cart, you can add it to your cart and go click and collect or home delivery. So that's Cookie Dough in a nutshell, but so much more that you can do with it as well. So when having a cooking experience, your consultant will go into a bit more detail about how it can be tailored for you and your family as well. Is there any questions on that?
If you just hold on 1 second, Michelle. I've got to get the kneading going, and that's going to take a little bit of time too. But
perfect. Let's go back to you, Mandy.
Let's come back to me, and then you can take questions on cookie dough.
Beautiful. All righty, let's go back to the lovely Mandy.
On my machine. All right, so it's asking me, so I've heated up that yeast in there just to activate it. It's asking me to grease a loaf tin, but you can use this dough for anything. So I think Jenny's going to making a bit of a focaccia with it. I think Michelle's made a loaf of bread. You can make rolls, whatever you want to do. Now, what's really important here, can you see I've still got my lid on? And it's asking me for 500 grams of baker's flour. Take my lid off and I go to minus. So whenever you take your lid off, you need to make sure you just tear there so it goes back to 0. All right. So 500 grams of baker's flour. So I'll just pre-weighed it. It's going in here. But that's really important because if you forget to tear, you have no idea where you are when it comes to ingredients. It's my nightmare. Okay, 1 teaspoon of salt. It's got some salt there. Put my lid on, and then this is the other time when I don't walk away from my Thermomix because I'm going to mix first. This 6 seconds on speed 6. Just show you what that looks like. So there we go. Just mixed everything up there, and now it's going to knead for 3 minutes. As I said, you don't walk away when this is on, and we can see if there's any questions that want to be answered about cookie dough. We can do those whilst this is kneading.
Jenny, are your onions ready?
I am ready. Yeah.
Let's go back to you, and we'll have a look at your beautiful onions.
Yes, the onions are done a long time ago. No, that's all right. So I just want to show you. That was 10 minutes, and it's not browning the onions, it's sauteing the onions. All right, so look at them, beautiful, sitting in there and have nicely sauteed. You have now the chance to either continue in the recipe and chop them up, depending on what you're going to use them for. I would always recommend, for example, if you want to use onions in a soup, just to brown them beforehand, because that will just enhance the flavor and add the caramelization will just give it tops it another notch. So I'm going to leave my onions as they are at the moment, because actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a focaccia, and I'm going to put in a little bit of bread art. Well, don't expect too much, all right? If you've never heard about bread art, Google it, not now, once this class is finished. It's a thing. So what we're going to see, Mandy is going to store her dough in one of our beautiful baking mats, who are Holster boards. And they are so versatile. So I have done the same thing. I have proven my dough in this Thermomat a couple of hours ago, and then I have put it into one of these beautiful large rose gold oven trays, and as you could probably just saw that I've just covered it again with the mat to keep it nice and moist in here, and it has proven again. So double proving for the focaccia. That's just makes it nice and bubbly. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use one of my oil spray, oil mister, it's called, also from the mix shop. And so I can just spray oil the surface. And the benefit here is instead of a can, I can use my preferred brand of oil that I put in there. So now let's make the typical focaccia dimples using all 10 fingers, and just knock yourself out, right? Just like this. Beautiful. That's the art already. No, not quite. So now I'm going to, I've got a couple of these capsicum stripes, and I'm going to, well, I could actually make a pattern here, but let's not be silly. Yeah, just have them spread out on top of your bread. You could also put fresh capsicum on it and some herbs and really whatever you like. And now I'm going to use my sauteed onions, and that's why I have chosen different colors, because it makes it look even prettier. All right, there we go. We have a very popular local baker in the area. I don't know if you've heard about them. It's called Flour House, and Flour House in Hyatt, advertising now for them. And they sell these kind of focaccias, also topped with sliced potato. Oh, they're to die for. And every time my husband comes back and buys one of those, I go like, I could have made that. But then it's in the weekend and I usually don't. So, but yeah, this one comes very close to the ones that you could buy there. So you can now sprinkle it also with a little bit of sea salt flakes, for example, and dried herbs, maybe rosemary also. And this one's going to go now into the oven, and we're going to bake that. And hopefully by the end of this class, it's going to be ready. So can I get a thumbs up from Mandy? How's the dough looking?
Yeah, all good.
All right,
all
let's
good.
go
Ready
back
to
to
come
you
back
then.
to me. Thank you. Thanks, Jenny. So I just wanted to show you too, just following on from what Jenny was saying, sustainability is something that's really important to me. That mister, that oil mister, is fantastic because you're not buying things and chucking them away when you finish with them. The other thing you can get in the mix shop is a whole lot of these mats to fit the different trays that they have. And again, you can just reuse these that go in the oven, the silicone mats. You don't need to use any other sort of baking paper or anything that's going to throw out. If you do use baking paper, and I agree, sometimes you need to get the compostable stuff so that, save the world with me, all right? Okay.
I have to say, Mandy, those mats that sit in the baking trays are one of my most favourite purchases from the mix shop, I reckon.
Absolutely agree. They're fantastic. All right, so there's my dough. I'm going to tip it upside down. And the little tip here for getting your dough out is giving the bottom of your blade a bit of a wiggle. Now, this dough is quite a sticky dough, so it's not quite as easy as, pretty good. And then what you can do is you can actually, to get the rest of it out, you pop it back on, you put it on turbo, and turbo will just flick everything off. It's the best way to clean your blades. I'll just do it so you can see that. Only takes a couple of seconds. So I'm going to just go in here, come over to turbo. Really important, if you use turbo, which I do, I use it a lot. It's great for drying your bowl as well. Then you've always got to click out of it for the lid to release. Okay, this doesn't work quite as well with this dough because it is very sticky, but it's still, you can see that my blades are clean. All right, so I will grab that in a second, but I'll show you how to wrap it all up in the mat. Literally, as Jenny said, you just fold it over and fold it over again, and then just leave it there to proof. Now, if it's a cold day, you can put some hot water in your thermo server, you can pop it on top of there, or just find it the warmest spot in the house. Sometimes in winter, if it's a sunny day, your car's a good place to put it too. Okay, so I think that is me, and I think we're back to Jenny. Thanks, guys.
That's right.
Ready with you, Jenny?
Ready? Here we go. All right, so I'm going to continue now my cooking with the famous cooked mayonnaise. And well, I don't know if it's famous already, but it was definitely in the year 2021 my most cooked recipe as per Cookie Dough statistics. So I was very surprised about that. So I've made that a couple of times. I haven't cleaned the bowl, so there was only the onions and the oil in there, and I thought, oh, you know what, let's transfer the flavors over into my mayonnaise. So you bring up the recipe either with your weekly meal plan, or you search for it straight on Cookie Dough. And as always, we're going to just click on Start Cooking. you can, so if you got a container like this, you can use that to get started. So the first step in the recipe, it asks you to put a jug on top of the mixing bowl lid, just so you know, so you don't make another dish dirty, but I'm going to use a jug today. Just it's a little bit easier than to show you the emulsifying. So now it says weigh in 300 grams of grapeseed oil. I personally prefer a mild olive oil, wild not so much, to make it, because I like to add a little bit of garlic to it to make it a bit of aioli style. Basically, any oil is fine as long as it isn't strong in flavor. You could also use, for example, an avocado oil if that's more up your alley, and or grapeseed oil. So really what you can get your hands on, so it doesn't have a strong taste on its own. So now I've weighed in the 300 grams of oil, and then it says set the jug aside. Okay, can do that. And in the next step, we are adding a teaspoon of sea salt. So again, have a play with the different flavors. So I like to make my own herb and garlic salt. And that again adds just another level of flavor to it. Today I'm going to use another thing that I've made, a garlic paste, and that one has a lot of salt in it as well. So I'm a bit lazy. I'm doing a 2-in-1 instead of peeling a garlic clove. I just add a teaspoon of that. So that's basically my salt. And now it wants 30 grams of white vinegar. Again, try different kind of vinegars. Try apple cider vinegar or a red wine vinegar, just to have different flavors and see which one you like best. What we also tend to do is with this mayonnaise, we add at the end a couple of squirts of sriracha sauce to it to make it a bit more, zing. All right, so now there's just the salt and the vinegar in here. So I'm going to pop the lid on top, and it asks me to, so for 3 minutes, we're going to heat it up to 100 degrees. So why is it cooked mayonnaise? So we're actually not cooking as such. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat up the salt and vinegar mixture in here, and we're going to heat up the bowl to 100 degrees. Once we are adding the raw eggs to it, the bowl will still be extremely hot, like over 90 degrees. And that's then when the eggs start cooking. So because protein already cooks at 60 degrees temperature, that means the rest of the heat in the bowl is more than enough to actually cook our eggs so they're no longer raw, which is great because first of all, apart from the fact that raw eggs can bear a safety risk in itself, but also for elderly people, pregnant women, children, or immune compromised, and so on. What else I'm going to say? I'm talking too much. Say something else and completely talk myself out of it. Yes, it also lasts longer in the fridge. That's what I wanted to say. So it's got multiple benefits. And if you ever tried making your own mayonnaise, you might have had problems with the emulsifying, so it split or it's separated and you couldn't really get it together. This recipe is also called the no-fail mayonnaise. And because of the cooking and because of that heat that we're using, it actually never fails. So very popular in restaurants when they're making their own homemade mayonnaise or sauce tartare and stuff like that, so, or salad dressings when they're using their homemade, then that's what they're usually going back to a cooked egg or cooked mayonnaise version of that. Right, do we have any questions on the chat? Can you see any?
No questions, but I just wanted to reiterate how amazing that recipe is. And you obviously added a lot of options as far as variations go. But just for those people who aren't maybe as fancy, if you just follow that recipe exactly the way it is amazing. So
I totally agree.
yeah, I was someone who prior to this cooked mayo recipe, I actually was never a fan of making my own mayonnaise in the Thermomix, but since I still used to buy the Tomy one. And this one replaces that hands down. So, and a fraction of the price as well. You can also make it as a half batch if you don't need a full batch of mayonnaise. So there you go. That's just my input on that.
That's true. You can make a half batch. You can also double it.
Or a double batch.
All right. So meanwhile, I have just cracked the 2 eggs into a separate jar, and I just leave the lid on. And I'm going to turn now my speed selected to speed 3, it says, but meanwhile follow the next step. And the next step will be that I'm going to add the eggs through the mixing bowl lid. So taking the measuring cup out, and that looks like this. Right? So turning it on, and now take the measuring cup out, and as you can see, it's still steaming. So I'm adding the eggs now, and then popping the measuring cup back on. And what it does now, it mixes them in, and that's already enough for the eggs to be cooked. All right, so that's going to take just 5 more seconds. I can click on next. By the way, if you're interested in what the next step is going to be, you will find a little preview symbol replaced by the next symbol whenever you are in a cooking stage. All right. So now it says reinsert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. I already did that. And for the measuring cup, so just so you know, it has that little spout, and the way the spout's facing, there's a little bit of an opening in the front. So when I'm going to pour my oil now on top of the lid, very, very slowly, the oil will go in through the lid where the opening is, so wherever the spout's facing to. All right, so I now set it to 1.5 minutes, and it wants me to turn speed selected to speed 6. And whilst this is doing that, I start pouring the oil right on top of the lid. So in between the measuring cup.
Janie, Zoom's muting you, so I'm going to explain what you're doing. So the measuring cup does leave a little gap between the top of the lid, and that's enough for the oil to just slowly drizzle through and emulsify with the ingredients that are already in the bowl. Now, again, as Janie said, this is being the no-fail mayonnaise. With previous mayonnaise, this step's always been the one that's been the stressful step, and is it going to split and whatever. You saw that Jenny, she was pouring it in slowly, but not ridiculously slowly. So just have a go at this, because you really can't fail and you won't regret it. It's amazing.
The other sorts of things you can emulsify are your smoothies. So you can put most of your smoothie ingredients in the bowl and then drizzle the liquid in through the top, exactly as Jenny did with the oil, and that will emulsify your smoothie, which means it doesn't separate.
Yeah, I've actually seen that with juices as well, Mandy. So sort of blitzing whatever your base of your juice is, apple, carrot, celery. So you end up with sort of a puree of the vegetables and fruit in the bottom, and then slowly putting the water through the top to emulsify it as well. So yeah, great tip. Yeah, that looks like a coleslaw coming on there.
There you go. I didn't hear a word you were saying, but whatever she said, she's right.
I know, it's a good job we didn't hear what we were talking about you.
Hopefully only good things. All right, so now this is done. All right, so it just says, click on next, and then it says transfer that into a container and store in the fridge until you need it. Look at that, such a creamy consistency. And it smells also divine, and as you can see, it hasn't split at all. So I'm using here another great spatula that's also available in the mix shop. I love them because they do have long necks and I can go all the way in the bottom of the bowl. So look at that, what I'm doing. So I'm using my lid as a funnel. Underneath here, we have the jar where my mayonnaise goes in. Everything has multiple functionalities. How good is that? So scraping down the sides, that's usually how we get the stuff out of the bowl again. And then we're going
Can you show me how you're holding the handle as well? Because it's an economic handle. So when you're pouring, there you go. If you hold at the bottom of the triangle, you don't have to get your whole back into it. You can just be pouring, sort of bending at the elbow, not at in your back.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going in here and we want to go clockwise, meaning we're touching the back side of the blades whilst we are pouring or just emptying the bowl. This way you will have your spatulas will thank you for a longer life.
However, if you are left-handed, get a couple of cheap spatulas because you will scrape the other way and it will get to you.
That's right. I always ask my customers, are you lefty or right-handed?
Me too.
Right-handed? Okay, you're fine. Left-handed, yeah, that it's just something to be mindful of, all right? Oh, I've taken everything out. Stupid me. I wanted to continue with this recipe. Anyhow, I was so fascinated by my little funnel here. Anyhow, that is how this looks like. So, and you can see it's still warm. Obviously, have that cooling down a little bit, and then we'll pop it in the fridge, and it will last there for at least 2 weeks, if that long, because you're gonna eat it all beforehand. All right, another recipe that we don't need to wash the bowl in between. How good is that? And that is going to be the coleslaw, one of the 5-second salads that we have. And this one is one of my all-time favorite. And my husband was saying, what are you going to cook tonight? I said, I'm making coleslaw. And he's like, yes, finally. So that's the one from the basic cookbook. Absolutely loving it. And we just basically, the whole principle of this 5-second salad is that we're going to chuck in all the ingredients. So here I have it's 100 grams of carrots, and just for you, because you're new to, that's the size of the ingredient, should fit through the hole, or obviously a little bit the size of your dial there on the side. And we just pop them in. Click on next. Now it wants a green apple, something I've prepared earlier. I'll leave the skin on. I've washed that one before. And a red onion, 50 grams, or to taste. And 200 grams of cabbage. I like the different colors, so that's why I've chosen both. And 100 grams each, but you can just pick one color, that's also fine. And now we want a pinch of salt, so adding that, and a pinch of pepper, just like so. You do that to your liking, obviously. And now we need 2 tablespoons of the mayonnaise. So I'm just using my spatula here and measure that to my liking. I love this mayonnaise, so you can have it. I love it smothered in mayonnaise. But you do that your way, all right? Okay, so now we're putting the lid back on, and on the TM6 screen, sometimes the recipe even has a little video in it for you. So especially if you're new to Thermomix way of cooking, the instructions can sometimes be a bit confusing, maybe, I think not, but if that's the case, then just have a little look at the video. So I'm going to skip that today. You do that, you watch that video when your machine has arrived. And in this recipe, we're going to chop it 2 seconds, scrape down and do 2 seconds again. In the being conscious of time, I'm going to go to 5 seconds straight away. And all I'm going to do is turn my speed selector to speed 4. And whilst this is chopping, I pop this spatula, not this one through the mixing bowl lid and keep the salad onto the blades. Why not this one? Because that one doesn't have a stopper. This one has. So this one's designed to go into the bowl whilst the blades are turning, because it never will touch the blade. So this one won't be destroyed. This one is too expensive for that experience. All right. In itself, just 5 seconds, really? Done. Ah, yes, that looks good already. I prefer mine a little bit finer chopped, so I'm just gonna, if I'm not happy with the result, right, I can always override it. So I'm gonna do this again. Say next, and it's just 2 seconds more. Be careful, otherwise you turn it into a smoothie.
It's a fine line between a salad and a dip.
Yeah, smoothie or a dip. All right, so this looks much better. Again, well, personal preference. I'm actually going to add another second to that. But are we going to come back to me again, or am I just?
Well, we can if you like. I've got my loaf of bread here.
Oh yeah, you do that, and I'd like to talk about Irene as well.
All right.
All right, that's it.
Who first?
No more chopping.
You go for it with your bread, Michelle.
All righty. I'm coming to me.
Yes, that's more to my liking.
Oh, sorry, Jenny. Just as you did that, I ripped you away. There we go. Show everyone again.
Show us what you have. All right, look in my bowl.
Beautiful. Perfect.
Delicious.
There you go. I'm going to eat it all by myself.
Lucky it's a salad, not a jug of ice cream. Hello. I just thought I'd come back to show you the bread. So you saw Mandy make the dough, and then Jenny turned into a focaccia. Well, what I did was turn it into a loaf of bread. So
looks amazing.
It does look amazing, I have to say. So this is the bread tin from our mix shop. I haven't cleaned it. I wanted to show you what I did before I put the dough in. I oiled the sides and I sprinkled seeds all over it. So you can see that's why my bread has seeds all the way around. So that's just a little tip, something I learned going to a class a long time ago. The other thing, it's not as obvious, but I sort of tried to get the three, you can sort of see these three sections. So again, another thing I saw at a class, which was quite cool, was rather than trying to get this sort of log into the tin evenly, I cut the dough into 3 pieces and rolled it into balls and put 3 balls in. So they look like 3 bread rolls effectively, but then obviously as it proves, it becomes 1 loaf. So I want to show you a couple of things. One is that in doing this, I'm just going to take the camera off me and show my bread, is that I have put crumbs all over my bench, but luckily for me, I have the Thermomix Minivac. Now, anyone who's recently ordered, you will be getting this with your Thermomix. And if you know anyone who wants a Thermomix, this is really cool little gadget. So how cool is that? Now, to be honest, if you weren't watching, I would have eaten them off the bench, but that's not very polite to do that when you're watching. The other thing I wanted to show you is I'm going to transfer it onto my breadboard here, because I've also got now the Thermomix bread knife, which has got the slicer there where you can control the size of the slices. So it means you get perfectly, when you're making your own bread, some people kind of, one of the things like they don't like about it is that unevenness of trying to cut your own bread. But by using this, you can actually adjust. So they're quite thick. I can make them a little bit thinner. But you can.
So they're doorsteps.
I know. Well, have you seen my children? I know. So the thick ones are for them, and then a nice thin one for me. But have a look at that.
Looks amazing.
Jump on the mix shop. We do actually have this knife. It's now got a black handle. I've had mine for a few years, but it does do exactly that same thing. So I'd really recommend this bread. It is the buttermilk bread. I did put the link in the chat, and I'll give you a little hint, a little cheat for buttermilk if you're not making butter. if you put a bit of lemon juice or vinegar, I personally prefer lemon juice, in full cream milk, it will curdle and turn into buttermilk. So that's my tip as far as getting instant buttermilk. And then my lemon juice hack is to buy the bottles of lemon juice. Now, I've always been a fresh lemons person if I'm drinking it or putting it on fish or something like that. But those, they're really great for cleaning or for turning your milk into buttermilk. So that's my tip. But how cool is that? I know my kids are like waiting in the wings to when they're allowed to eat this right now.
Warm bread.
Fresh bread.
Yes.
Can't
All
beat
right.
it. All right.
I might just quickly talk about Irene. Okay, so I'm lucky enough to have the amazing Irene, and I can never pronounce her surname, so I'm not even going to try, in my team. And what Irene's done over the last probably 5 months, I suppose, is she has competed in Thermostars. Thermostars is MasterChef for Thermomix consultants, really. And she's done an incredible job, and she is a finalist. So there are 5 finalists, and she is one of them. She's representing Victoria and Tasmania. So proud of her. This girl worked so hard. She took 2 weeks off work to perfect her recipe. She was filmed. There's a great little video. I was trying to find the link for it, which unfortunately I can't. But I'm just going to share my screen and just show you a picture of her with her creation. You can find it. Here it is. So this is Irene's tropical sunshine cake, and it's made up of different layers with biscuit. There's pineapple in there. There's mango in there. On top there, she's actually dried out pineapple, cross sections of pineapple to create the decoration on top. There's all sorts of different layers. It was absolutely incredible. She also made an amazing ice cream, which she was told was too much to add into her entry, but it was a white chocolate and miso ice cream. And being a little bit of an ice cream freak myself, that was amazing. So what we would love you to do is get behind Irene and vote for her. So I'm hoping here in the chat, yep, I have a little link there. If you could please support her, share that link with anybody that you know. She has worked so hard. She's representing all of us. And what I should tell you too is when you vote, you go into the draw to win a $1,000 Mix Shop voucher. And also, if she wins, let's hope she does, then she gets $5,000 for her charity. And the charity she's giving it to is going to use what she wants to give it to is it's for feeding homeless people, basically. So we would love you to get behind her and please vote for Irene. She's absolutely incredible. Thank you. Back to you, Michelle, just to wrap up.
Thank you, Mandy. Is there a link that people can click on to vote, or will you email everyone?
Yeah, no, I have. I put it in the chat, but I will also email it. Thank you.
Marvelous, marvelous. Jenny, do I need to come back to you, darling?
Hang on.
I just wasn't sure if you.
I'm muted. Okay. My bread still needs 3.5 minutes officially, but I'm happy to take it out just to give you. Want to show you how it looks like. So meanwhile, I have already put out here my mayonnaise and the coleslaw on a beautiful. What is it? A board, a chopping board that you can also get in the mix shop. And it has a little dent here in the side, so meaning if you're using the other way around, you can pop your Thermomix bowl underneath and then just scrape everything into the bowl. Look at this. That's my focaccia bread art. I'm going to pop it in for 5 more minutes. But I wanted to show you.
It looks amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Actually, I noticed you've got that served in a beautiful glass dish so we can see it. But for anyone who's hosted before and you're gathering host rewards, the white thermo server with the clear lid is fantastic for serving salads at barbecues because everyone can see what's in it. So that's kind of my new favourite. Keeps the flies off. Everyone can see what it is. And yeah, it's perfect. Perfect.
True.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jenny.
That's it from my end.
Good night. Thanks, Mandy. I'm going to come back to me and just say thank you to all of you for being with us this evening. Have you got any questions, comments, feedback? We'd love to hear from you. If anyone is interested in knowing how to kind of get on this side of the screen, if you're going, oh God, those girls, I could do better than that, come and teach us. The thing we love about our customers is that we hope we teach you some stuff, but we learn a lot from you as well. So for that, we're very grateful. So we'll bid you farewell. We'll stop. We have recorded this just for customers who couldn't jump on, but we will stop recording. So if anybody does want to have a chat with us privately now,